Airframe: aircraft structural assembly and rigging. What is the function of a vortex generator? Prevent separation of the boundary layer. What are the three X's of an airplane? Longitudinal, lateral, and vertical. What are the three primary flight controls of an aircraft? Elevator, rudder, and ailerons. Name several secondary flight controls and describe their general purpose. Trim tabs such as balance tab, anti-servo, servo tabs, and spring tabs, and their purpose is to fly the plane with hands off. Name several types of auxiliary flight control consist of the various high-life devices used during low speed. My bad. Name several types of auxiliary flight controls and describe their general purpose. Leading and trailing edge flaps, slots, slats, speed brakes, and their purpose is to control the plane at low speed flight. What is a servo trim tab? Is an auxiliary control attached to the control surface to control the forces on the surface. What is a spring tab? Auxiliary control to help the movement of primary control at high speeds. What is a balance trim tab? It's an auxiliary control in assist in moving the control surface. What are four most common types of high lift devices? Leading and trailing edge flaps, slats, and slots. Describe some of the tools used to check control surface travel. A universal protector. Name three mechanical methods by which flight control system may be actuated. Cables, push-pull rods, and torque tubes. What is a fairlead? It's a device to prevent a cable from rubbing on the aircraft structure. What are the most likely places for a control cable to wear or break? Where the cable passes through pulleys or fairleads. What information is required before a cable ringing charge can be used? Cable size and ambient temperature. What is the function of a cable tension regulator? Adjust the cable tension for expansion and contraction. Describe the function of a rotorcraft collective pitch control. Chain lift of a main rotor blades. Describe the function of a rotorcraft cyclic pitch control. Okay, sorry for the delay. Describe the function of a rotorcraft collective pitch control. Tilts the main rotor disc, changing the pitch angle of each blade. The helicopter will move in the direction the rotor tilts. Describe the function of a rotorcraft cyclid pitch control. No, my bad. Next one. What mechanism is most commonly used to compensate for the torque produced by the main rotor of a helicopter? The tail rotor. How is the amount of thrust produced by the tail rotor controlled? By moving the foot pedals. Why should control surfaces be locked when an aircraft is parked? To prevent damage from the wind. How propeller torque is corrected. Vertical fin offset to the longitudinal center line. Chapter 2. Sheet metal structure. What is the major type of damage to aluminum structures that is caused by exposure to the weather? Corrosion. Name several methods for forming sheet metal. Folding or bending, stretching, shrinking, bumping, and crimping. Describe the markings found on the heads of A, B, D, AD, and DD rivets. A is a plain rivet, B is an X, D is the word DOT, AD is just one dash, no, my bad, it's just one dimple, and DD it's two dashes. What are the dimensions of a properly formed rivet head? The head should be 1.5 times the shank diameter, and in width, no, my bad, 1.5 diameter in width, and half the shank diameter in height. What happens to the stem of a self-plugging friction lock rivet when the rivet is installed? The stem is pulled until break or snap off. Name at least 3 types of self-plugging mechanical lock rivets. Cherry Max, Cherry Lock, Olympic Lock, and Hook Lock rivets. What is the difference between the tools required to pull a Cherry Lock rivet and a Cherry Max rivet? Cherry Lock requires special and specific tool. Instead, Cherry Max just a pulling tool. Which of the 5 stresses is the most common cause of rivet failure? Shear. If a 24 my bad. If a 2024 rivet must be replaced with a 2117 rivet, how do you determine the size to be used? For 532 inches or smaller diameter, use the next larger size, 2117 Rivet, assuming that the edge distance and spacing meet the minimum requirements. Describe the process for determining the total length of a solid rivet for a particular installation. The total length is equal to the grip length, which is the thickness of the materials to be joined, plus 1.5 times the rivet diameter. What minimum edge distance and spacing should be used for a single row or protruding head rivets? No less than 2 rivet diameters from the edge and no less than 3 rivet diameters apart. How can a mechanic determine whether the countersink for a flush rivet should be dimpled or drilled? By the thickness of the top sheet. Thin sheets are dimpled, while thick sheets may be countersunk. What action is taken to prevent cracks from forming while dimpling magnesium or some hard sheet metals? Use hot dimpling equipment to preheat and soften the metal. What type of damage can occur when using a rivet set that does not properly fit the rivet? What damage when Rivet doesn't fit properly? Rivet head damaged or sheet metal damaged. Why is it important to use the proper size and weight bucking bar when performing sheet metal riveting or riveting? Because if you do not use the proper booking bar, it's difficult to control and could cause damage to the structure. What procedures should be followed to properly remove a solid shunt rivet? Center the punch the rivet. Drill with a smaller drill. Use pinch punch to tip off retirar the rivet head. And take the remaining chunk out. Center punch. What are the two special calculations that must be made when bending sheet metal? Bend allowance and setback. What factors must be considered in order to determine setback? The thickness of the metal and the bend radius. What is done to a corner where two bends intersect to prevent cracking? Relief holes are drilled in the corner. What are the two reasons for installing a lightning hole in a sheet metal wing rib? Lightning holes reduce the weight and increase stiffness, rigidez. Describe a juggle and explain its function. It's an offset in an intersection to stack multiple sheets flat against each other. When repairing an all-metal aircraft, how do you determine what metals should be used? Always use metal of the same type and thickness as the original structure. Chapter 3: Wood, Composite, and Transparent Plastic Structures. What are the three forms of wood commonly used in aircraft constructions? Solid, laminated, and plywood. What type of wood should be used when splicing or reinforcing plywood webs? The same type of plywood as originally used. The same type of plywood as originally used. Name at least 4 different types of defects found in wood. Knots, pitch pocket, decay, and checks. Can a section of wood containing a hard knot be used? Yes, within specified limits. What type of glue may have been used in older wooden aircraft construction that requires careful inspection to detect deterioration? Casein glue. What are the three types of glues used in modern aircraft construction and repair? Resorcinol glue, phenolformaldehyde glue, and epoxy resin glue. Is compression wood acceptable for structural repairs? No. Why should the various pieces of wood being joined be kept in the same room for at least 24 hours prior to joining? To allow the moisture content to equalize, thereby, de este modo, minimizing dimensional changes in wood. Why is it important to consider the open assemble time when gluing wooden structure? If the maximum open assemble time is exceeded, the joint may be failed. Why is it important to apply the proper clamping pressure to a glue joint? To remove all the air out of the joint. Describe some of the methods used to apply pressure to glue joints. clamps, power presses, which are machines, and small screws. What minimum curing temperature should be observed when joining wood with various adhesives? >70 degrees Fahrenheit or as specified by the manufacturer. When inspecting wood structures, why might it be important to consider stains, manchas, and discolored areas? Because usually is the case or not, so you need to make sure. Describe the acceptable methods used to repair elongated bolt holes found in a wooden wind spar. Remove the affected area and splice a new section, or replace the entire bar. What type of joint is used to splice a solid or rectangular wood spar? A scarf joint. In what areas are splices to a wood spar prohibited? Landing gear, engine mount, wing root, and interplane strut. What is the maximum number of splices allowed for any single spar? 2. Describe the characteristics of a scarf joint. The piece of wood should be beveled, which means biselado, or tapered, which means lijado, on a slope 1 to 10 or 1 to 12. Why must the beveled cut be accurate on both pieces of wood being repaired with a scarf joint? The two pieces must be matched exactly to ensure a proper glue joint. What are the two primary uses for plywood in aircraft construction? Gasset or reinforcing plates, and aircraft skin. Provide examples of at least three types of plywood skin repairs. Split patches, surface patches, and scarfed patches. What type of patch should be used to repair small holes in thin plywood skin if the skin is less than 1/10 inch thick? A. Split patch. What should be done to prevent a plywood patch and the pressure plate from sticking together? if glue is extruded from the joint. Place a piece of waste paper in between. Why are lightweight steel bushings sometimes used in wooden structures? Prevent wood from being crushed (morrota) when bolts are tightened. What is the purpose of large surface area washers when used on wooden structures? Larger washers provide additional bearing (soporte) to prevent damage in the wood when bolts are tightened. Name several facings and core materials used in bonded honeycomb structures intended for special applications. Titanium, glass, nylon, cotton, and stainless steel. Describe the construction of a bonded honeycomb structure. A bonded honeycomb structure is a laminated structure with six-sided cells. What must be done with a damaged area in a bonded honeycomb structure prior to beginning repairs? Inspect the area damaged before remove the damaged material. A drill bit used for drilling composites should be operated at approximately what speed? Up to 20,000 rpm. What are the most common causes for the lamination of a composite structure? Sonic vibration, liquid leakage, manufacturer error, and moisture. What type of defect in or damage to a bonded honeycomb structure can be repaired using the potted repair method? Filling a hole. Name some of the factors that cause cracking in transparent plastic windows and windshields. UV light, solvents, stress, and improper handling. How should a hole be drilled in a plexiglass to avoid damage to the hole when the drill breaks through the underside? Back up the plastic with a piece of wood and drill slowly. Estar infiltrado.